Winamp. It really whips the llama's ass. Winamp. It really whips the llama's ass. Winamp. It really
Winamp is a media player from Microsoft Windows. The media player was developed by Nullsoft and was released on April 21st, 1997, and to this very day, the media player is still alive and healthy. So, how did it become so popular? Let's find out. Initial releases. Winamp was first released in 1997 when Justin Frankel and Dmitry Boldyrev, formerly students at the University of Utah, integrated their Windows user interface with the Advanced Multimedia Products AMP MP3 file playback engine. The name Winamp, originally spelled WinAMP, was a portmanteau of Windows and AMP. The minimalist WinAMP 0.20a was released as freeware on April 21st, 1997. Its windowless menu bar-only interface showed only play, open, stop, pause, and unpause functions. A file specified on the command line or dropped onto its icon would be played. MP3 decoding was performed by the AMP decoding engine developed by Advanced Multimedia Products co-founder Thomas Uzalek, which was free for non-commercial use. It was compatible with Windows 95 and Windows NT 4.0. Winamp was the second real-time MP3 player for Windows, the first being WinPlay 3. WinAMP 0.92 was released as a freeware in May 1997. Within the standard window frame menu bar, it had the beginnings of the classic Winamp GUI. Dark gray rectangle with silver 3D effect transport buttons, a red/green volume slider, time displayed in a green LED font with the track's name, MP3 bitrate, and mix rate in green. Overlength title appear as slowly scrolling text or marquee. The skeuomorphic design somewhat resembles shelf stereos. There was no position bar and a blank space where the spectrum analyzer and waveform analyzer would later appear. Multiple files on the command line or dropped onto its icon were included in the playlist. Winamp 1. Version 1.006 was released on June 7, 1997, renamed Winamp, i.e. with AMP now in lowercase. It showed a spectrum analyzer and color-changing volume slider, but no waveform display. The AMP non-commercial license was included in its help menu. According to Tomislav Uzalak, Frankel licensed the AMP 0.7 engine on June 1, 1997. Frankel formally founded Nullsoft Incorporated in January 1998 and continued development of Winamp, which changed from freeware to $10 shareware. Despite the fact that there would be no extra features by paying $10, Winamp's popularity with warm reception brought Nullsoft to $100,000 a month that year from $10 paper checks in the mail from paying users. In March, Brian Lipman, managing co-founder, with Uzalek of Advanced Multimedia Product, which by then had been merged into Play Media Systems, sent a case of desist letter to Nullsoft, claiming unlawful use of AMP. Nullsoft responded that they had replaced AMP with Night Train, Nullsoft's proprietary decoder, but Play Media disputed this. Third-party reviews found that Night Train had bugs that resulted in playing back MP3s incorrectly, and that this resulted in unstable tones being added to the playback, and undoubtedly therefore violated the ISO standard. This also means that Night Train was unlikely to have been based on the AMP software, and was more likely evidence of a hastily written MP3 decoder that didn't concern itself with standards compliance. Version 1.90, released March 31st, 1998, was the first release of a general-purpose audio player, and documented on the Winamp website as supporting plugins, of which it included 2 input plugins, which were MOD and MP3, and visualization plugin. The installer for version 1.91 released 18 days later included Wave CDDA and Windows tray handling plugins, as well as the famous Wesley Willie's inspired demo.mp3 file. Winamp, it really whips the llama's ass. By July 1998, Winamp's various versions had been downloaded over 3 million times. Winamp 2. Winamp 2.0 was released on September 8, 1998. The new version improved the usability of the playlist, made the equalizer more accurate, and introduced more plugins. The modular windows for playlist and equalizer now match the player's skin and could be moved around and be separated or docked to each other anywhere in any order. The 2-point versions were widely used and made Winamp one of the most downloaded pieces of software for Windows. By the end of 1998, there were already over 60 plugins and hundreds of skins made for the software. Play Media filed a federal lawsuit against Nullsoft in March 1999. In May 1999, Play Media was granted an injunction by federal judge A. Howard Matz against distribution of Night Train by Nullsoft, and the same month the lawsuit was settled out of court with licensing and confidentiality agreements. Soon after, Nullsoft switched to an ISO decoder from the Fraunhofer Gesellschaft, the developers of the MP3 format. Winamp 2.10, released March 24, 1999, included a new version of the llama demo.mp3 featuring a musical sting and bleeding. Nullsoft was purchased by AOL in June 1999 for $80 million in stock, with Nullsoft becoming a subsidiary. AOL itself merged with Time Warner in 2000. Nullsoft relaunched the Winamp-specific Winamp.com in December 1999 to provide easier access to skins, plugins, streaming audio, song downloads, forums, and developer resources. As of June 22, 2000, Winamp surpassed 25 million registrants. Winamp 3. The next major Winamp version, Winamp 3, so spelled to include MP3 in the name and to mark its separation from the Winamp 2 codebase, was released on August 9, 2002. It was a complete rewrite of version 2, newly based on the Wasabi application framework, which offered additional functionality and flexibility. Winamp 3 was developed parallel to Winamp 2, but many users found it consumed too many system resources and was unstable, or even lacked some value functionality, such as the ability to count or find the total duration of tracks in a playlist. Winamp 3 had no backward compatibility with Winamp 2 plugins, and the Shoutcast sourcing plugin was not supported. No Winamp 3 version of Shoutcast was ever released. In response to users reverting to Winamp 2, Nullsoft continued the development of Winamp 2 to versions 2.9 and 2.91 in 2003, even alluding to it humorously. The beta versions 2.92 and 2.95 were released with the inclusion of some of the functionality of the upcoming Winamp 5. During this period, the Wasabi cross-platform application framework and Skinnable GUI toolkit was derived from parts of the Winamp 3 source code. For Linux, Nullsoft released an alpha version of Winamp 3 on October 9, 2001, but has not updated it despite continued user interest. During this time, Winamp faced stiff competition from Apple's iTunes. Winamp 5. Winamp 5 was based on the Winamp 2 codebase, but with Winamp 3 features such as modern skins incorporated via a plugin, thus incorporating the main advantages of both products. Regarding the omission of a version 4, Nullsoft joked that nobody wants to see a Winamp 4 skin, foreskin being a pun on foreskin. It was also joked that Winamp 5 is so good they skipped a number, and Winamp 2 plus 3 equals 5. Winamp 5.0 was released in December 2003. A blue-themed modern skin became the default interface. The media library was improved, CD burning and ripping was introduced, and other additions. The original Nullsoft team quit in 2004. As of version 5.1, Winamp development is credited to Ben Allison, Bensky, and Maxim Transitionny. From version 5.2 onwards, support for synchronizing with an iPod is built in. Winamp 5.5. Winamp 5.5. The 10th anniversary edition was released on October 10, 2007. 10 years after the first release of Winamp, a preview version had been released on September 10, 2007. New features to the player included album art support, improved localization, support with several official localized Winamp releases including German, Polish, Russian, and French, and a new default interface skin called Bento, which, unlike the previous skins, is a unified player and media library in one window as opposed to a multi-window interface. This version dropped support for Windows 9. Winamp 5.6. Winamp 5.6 was released in November 2010 and features Android, Wi-Fi support, and direct mouse wheel support. Fraunhofer AAC codec with VBR encoding support was implemented. Moreover, the option to write ratings to tags for MP3, WMA, WMV, OGG, and FLAC was added. Hungarian and Indonesian installer translations and language packs were added. With the release of Winamp version 5.66 on November 20th, 2013, AOL announced that Winamp.com would shut down on December 20th, 2013, and Winamp would cease to be offered for download after that date. 5 days later, version 5.666 was released, with the Pro and full installers being one and the same. In the process, removing OpenCandy, eMusic, AOL Search, and AOL Toolbar from the installation bundle. This was announced to be the last release of Winamp from AOL Nullsoft. Winamp 5.7. There was a Winamp 5.7 beta program for an invitation-based Winamp Cloud feature, which would let Winamp play a user's entire cloud-stored music library across all supported devices. This feature would have allowed AOL to provide a music locker service that would essentially compete with other online music lockers. The beta program was cancelled months before the announcement to shut down the Winamp project. Acquisition by Radionomy. On November 20th, 2013, AOL announced that it would shut down Winamp.com on December 20th, 2013, and the software would no longer be available for download nor supported by the company after that date. The following day, an unofficial report surfaced that Microsoft was in talks with AOL to acquire Nullsoft. Despite AOL's announcement, the Winamp site was not shut down as planned, and on January 14, 2014, it was officially announced that Belgian online radio aggregator Radionomy had bought the Nullsoft brand, which includes Winamp and Shoutcast. No financial details were publicly announced. However, TechCrunch has reported that the sale of Winamp and Shoutcast is worth between $5 and $10 million, with AOL taking a 12% stake, a financial, not strategic, investment in Radionomy in the process. Radionomy relaunched the Winamp website, and it was available for download again. In December 2015, Vivendi bought a majority stake in Radionomy. Following Radionomy's acquisition, no new releases would officially surface until Winamp 5.8 in 2018. In September 2018, it was reported that a Winamp 5.8 beta build 3563 were leaked to various file-sharing sites. The leak build, bearing a build date of October 26, 2016, would be the first public build under Radionomy's umbrella, with changes including compatibility in Windows 8.1, 10, and 11, and the removal of the paid Winamp Pro. Following the leak, Radionomy officially released Winamp 5.8 build 3660 on October 18, 2018. Winamp 5.9. Winamp 5.9 was released on September 9, 2022, with mostly under-the-hood improvements. The development team migrated the project from Visual Studio 2008 to Visual Studio 2019, in addition to improving support for Windows 11, high-resolution audio, and playback of HTTPS streams. The minimum supported operating system was increased to Windows 7 SP1. On December 6, 2022, Winamp 5.9.1 was released, adding a music NFT playback feature. Users are able to add music NFTs on Ethereum and Polygon to the media library by connecting to the MetaMask wallet. Winamp 6. On October 15, 2018, Radionomy CEO Alexandra Sabujan announced that a new version of Winamp, Winamp 6, would be released in 2019. As of August 2022, there has been no release or further details about what this new version of Winamp will look like, including which services Winamp would support or how the new version of the app would integrate the newer music platforms, such as Apple Music and Spotify. And there's a history of Winamp. How did it become so popular? Well, I think with all those acquisitions that they did, especially with Radionomy and Microsoft, I think that's how they became very popular. Anyways, this is where I'm going to end off this video. If you guys happen to enjoy this video, please make sure to like button, and also don't forget to subscribe to get videos every single day. And also, if you guys would like to see the swear word version of this video, you guys can find you guys can find the link to the swear word version of this video down in the description below. You can also find the link to my second channel and all of my social media accounts in the description as well. And until then, I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!